Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. So we are starting this conference, which we have called Beijing+30. And I'm wearing the badge I was wearing 30 years back in Huairou, which I still keep. And we are very grateful you have attended this conference. We have a long program to go through. And I'm going to have a very small presentation, which is the introduction, but I would also like to say some words about the program, because this is the first day, this is the first session. We are going to have several sessions. And for example, now we have the introduction to what we had experienced Beijing in 1995. Okay. Let's see. So do you hear better? Right. Better? No. Okay. Is this better? No. No. Is it better? Better?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So you can put that in your pocket.
Yes. Well, as I said before, we have an introduction to the program. We have the first hour. It's going to be some of us that were there 30 years back, which is Eva and Nasby. We were there. We are going to share our experiences. Nasbin is going to also show a film that was elaborated there in Beijing, in Huairou, in Beijing 30 years back. And then we are going to share some of these experiences. The second part of the program is feminist foreign policy, with somebody who has been from the beginning in the elaboration of this feminist foreign policy from a Swedish perspective. And that comes at 2:00. Afterwards, we have this workshop which is a part of our project, COP Gender Project, regarding gender from environmental perspective. And Nancy and Alice will speak about that and will tell you what is the workshop about. We have a coffee break, and then we have a very important block, which is environmental issues. And we have Professor Annika Gronsell, who's going to lead that with some of her colleagues. And then we are going to have a rounding up, because this is going to take the rest of the afternoon. And then we have the program tomorrow. And I will tell you about tomorrow afterwards, because we have some changes there. So I'm going to start with a very small introduction to this Beijing+30. And this is to show not only the pictures that we took that time, I'm going to tell you a little bit. Beijing+30 was the fourth conference organized by the United Nations during what they call at first the decade of women issues, that became more than a decade, much longer. And it was, as many other conferences, a little bit back. It was two parts: the official conference in Beijing, and as we were very dangerous feminists. They didn't want us to be in the same city as the official conference. So they put us in a small village at that time, which is called Huayru. And that was 40 kilometers from me. And that's where we had the social forum, which was a huge forum of 40,000 people. So here you have some of the images of this forum, but also Betty Davis that was there in the conference. And we were a delegation from Gothenburg. We are here, 3 people from this delegation. We were from the university, from Peace and Development Studies, and some high functionaries from the university. We were from Kvinnofolkhögskolan, I don't know how really it is in English, and from somebody from the Swedish church. And we were very excited, some of them are in this picture, to have this experience of meeting so many feminists from all over the world. You have to see, this is 1995. You don't have internet as we have it today. So exchanges were not so easy at the time. You are from another generation that is not our generation. So this was extremely exciting to have so many people, at least 40,000 people, extremely engaged and involved in this huge conference. Yes. So we have the seminars and the demonstrations. So this is part of what we mostly experience. People in the Huayru environment, in the forum, these demonstrations. Each continent had what they call a tent, which the ones from Europe, New Zealand, Latin America, this is pictures from the one in Latin America, which gave seminars, workshops, everything at that time. And then we had common demonstrations and thematic seminars. It was all the time enormous activities in this time. Can we have? So you have some of the features here. One of my favorite of the demonstrations here is Women in Black. You remember that was an extremely important movement for peace that came from the Second World War, and they were very present in this march in Huayru. Some other people here from, as I said, all continents. And then we have this, as I said before, this is the 4th conference. This is Beijing, one of the pictures. I think it has, the first one was Mexico City, the second one Copenhagen, the third one Nairobi, and this was Beijing in 1995. So what it started to be as a decade were 2 decades, 20 years of conference, which are increase and legitimate feminist issues. So the environment, the last had all these conferences had parallel forums. In the beginning, Mexico City was very small, but then it became bigger and bigger. As I said before, Huayru was 50,000 people, NGOs, individual participants. And then you see this climax when women's issues have gained an enormous legitimacy worldwide, and the expectations that trends were going forward are what's going better and better and progressing all the time. So we had, what are the gains and challenges by 1995? The themes of equality, development, and peace have nurtured gone beyond the narrow definitions immersing global issues. And women from the global south also have found a recognition and legitimacy to their own demands because they started getting very active, especially after the second conference, especially about the one in Africa. And women's issues became a legitimate part of globalization, themes, and challenges. And this is the platform of action. All these themes: women poverty, education, conflict, power, decision-making, human rights, the media, the environment, that were part of the gains of Beijing, in which have inspired this conference as well, where you are going to see several of these themes. And this is the platform of action, which I think is extremely important. The empowerment, advancement of women, including the right of freedom, thought, conscious, religion, belief, contributing to the moral, ethical, spiritual, intellectual needs of women and men, individually or in community with others, guaranteeing them the possibility of realizing their full potential in society and shaping their lives in accordance with their own aspirations. So this is the main gain, I think, of Beijing. And why not a new women's conference? Because it was argued there was a risk of backlash, renegotiating advances already achieved. Instead, there were several small meetings, Beijing +5, +10, +20, 25. But the fight for these women was continue, of course, in many other forums, globally and regionally. And at the same time, we see backlashes coming in the 21st century. So it's very clear the victories we won cannot be guaranteed, and any advances cannot be taken for granted. That's one of the issues we are going to discuss here in this conference. This is when Gabi as well organized Beijing +20, 10 years ago. And what are we facing today? Gains and advances in certain areas of regions, backlashes, challenges, many others. And as I said before, the themes of the conference, this conference we are organizing, reflect this. Feminist foreign policies initiated in Sweden and spread in many countries, environmental challenges together with the developing gender perspective on them, gender and conflict violence, mounting rates but also more visible and denounced, women more integrated into the economy but still facing enormous barriers, and state economic policies affecting them disproportionately with austerity measures. All these we are going to see. So welcome, and we hope you enjoyed this conference. And now I welcome Nasrin and Eva, who are going to continue with this reminiscence of 30 years ago.